meetings that we have together, and we set deadlines for those Thursdays. And so when I usually facilitate the meeting in terms of getting us all together on Zoom and sending out the agenda. And you know what I use for the agenda? The action plan. I just go through and look at the dates for our Thursday meeting, pull out the things that we decided were going to be completed by then, and then that's our agenda for the week. So the action plan can be a tool to drive your agendas. We can always add things to it. I always send out what we have for the week coming up on Monday for a Thursday meeting. And then I say any other items we need to add or change. And then our team can say what's on their minds. And they can also email me to add things to the agenda as they come up, like, hey, this happened this week. I'd like to add it to our discussion, And so I just collect it and then bring it for the meeting. And then we just go through the list. Usually I just pull up a share screen like this and have it on, because we meet remotely because we're in different locations. And I just have it on there and we all know what's coming next in the agenda. So that's why the action plan is so important. So for your action planning process, if you do this, which I highly recommend, is you start with the what. And it's really good if you've kind of already identified that. The work group is there for a reason. So why did it get established? What are we going to try to accomplish? So you identify that, and it's a way for you all to be clear about what you're striving for. But then the next thing is the how. How are we actually going to do that? And so this is where you detail out, so-and-so is going to talk to another mentor home and learn what they use for a sleep assessment, for instance, or different things like that. So you detail out the how. All right. And remember that action plans are a working document. So even if you get together and make decisions about what goes on the action plan, it's going to be continually evolving and changing. So you can move ahead a couple of slides there, Carmen. Okay. And so up there is a sample action plan tool. And I believe I included that with handouts, but I would also say that that's on the Peak 2.0 website. And the easiest way to get to that is to Google Peak 2.0, and it's there in PDF form and Word form. So if this is something that would be helpful to you, or you already have something like that, you are sure welcome to use it. But it kind of shows you the different things that or how you would use that tool. Okay, you can go on ahead. But as I said, you use it for your work team meetings. You have team members report progress. And this is a great way of holding people accountable without one person having to be the task manager. Like, did you get this done? Did you get that done? Because if we've all agreed what the agenda is and you've volunteered to take on a part of that, at the meeting, when we're checking in through those agenda items, it becomes clear who's done their work and who hasn't done their work. And nobody has to go check on people. It's a way to hold accountable without it being task driven. You can revise your plan as you go, mark steps done, record new target dates. So if you tried to do something, but one of your contacts was unavailable or you got sick, you can negotiate, I wasn't able to get that done this week. I'd like to move that to X date. It's also important that you make the plan accessible to your whole team so that people can see it. All right. So that concludes the third tactic that you can use for engaging your teams. I want to shift a little bit and talk about the staffing crisis, which certainly makes engaging staff members more challenging, right? And one of the privileges that we've had this year is as we've reached out to Peak Homes in a year that they didn't have as much of a load because the focus was on COVID, we've been checking in with homes and setting up research calls to talk to direct care workers and ask them about their experience with COVID and their experience in the workplace. And what we've learned is that direct care staff say that one of the things they need most from leaders and from at all levels in their home, leaders in their home, leaders at the state level and federally, is genuine support and authentic appreciation. So beyond, bringing pizza or snacks to work and to say thank you, don't necessarily stop doing that, but going deeper than that, thinking about it individually, just like we do some of the other things with elders, to express that genuine support and recognizing the personal sacrifices that people have made through this. I thought it would be more money or more staff to work alongside me, which, don't get me wrong, some of those things are on the list, but this was noted by almost every person that we interviewed was some version of this. And so I think as you're talking about building your teams and engaging, this is a great place to start, is meeting people where they're at. We have just in healthcare, and particularly long-term care, been through 2 years of war against a disease. And that means that people have personally sacrificed their time, they've risked themselves, and they're tired and they've been through trauma. And we have to recognize that and meet them where they're at. And think about this genuine support and authenticity around appreciation. The other piece is that trauma and burnout, that people have been through a lot through this, and it hasn't felt like there's an end to it. And so having some sort of access or, readily available ideas to get that emotional and mental health support and treatment is really critical. Not just, take care of yourself, do your self-care sorts of things, but genuinely that mental and emotional support to people. That's what they're saying they need. And so we need to listen, right? Okay, Carmen, you can go on to the next slide. I'll also say, and you can hit a couple of times, there's some bullet points under here. I'll also say, as we start engaging teams, we're going to have a lot of different opinions and ideas come out with that. And not all of them are going to be compatible or agree with each other. So the other piece of working with teams to develop that highly functional work teams is to have ways to work through conflict, okay, or to express ideas safely without that hostile environment, if there is disagreement. So what happens, one of the resources that I like is Crucial Conversations, which is a book, but this, the authors have put out a lot of different resources that go along with the tactics that they share with the book. And so they talk about a crucial conversation as being one in which there are opposing opinions, there are strong emotions surrounding it, and stakes are high. So if those 3 things are in place, you have a crucial conversation, okay? And I'm hopeful that we can get the video to play just to show you an example of it. Do you want to try the next one? And if it doesn't work, it's okay.
Sure. And there's the book, by the way. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Hopefully this will work just fine, everybody. Oh boy.
Just keeping you on your toes today.
Okay, that's okay. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. If it was going to go, I think it would go fine. I have everything queued, like sound and everything for a video. If
okay. It just doesn't want to go, huh?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
Wait, I see an arrow. Let's try this.
Okay.
Nope, still didn't work. Oh, it's the arrow that advances the slide.
Advances
Sorry.
it.
You'll have
Okay.
to tell us what happened.
Okay. So this is just an example of these two having a conversation. And initially, the one guy is saying to Darth Vader, that he's always causing trouble, that, he's always cutting off his tie, and he just shares all these things that are wrong. And Darth Vader's like, well, and he doesn't say anything, and he holds up his sword, and then it shows an example of him having a successful crucial conversation using some tips, where he really focuses on the thing he wants to share that is causing him issues. And he's very specific. He doesn't bring up 100 things from the past. He's very specific about what the issues are. And he opens it up for conversation to help move into problem solving rather than blaming. And so I think having some type of framework for dealing with conflict or having constructive conversations around differing opinions is really important as you move into teams. And you might already have some of these things in your organization, and it may just be about evaluating, have we used them lately? Is it time to pull those out and reteach some of these things to lead to some of that constructive conversation? So you can go on to the next slide there. I just want to reiterate that leadership is such a big component of this. And leadership is very different than management, as you know. It's about influencing people towards a common goal that you agree upon. And leaders are all across their organization. So part of your job as a positional leader is to help people see that there is a leader inside of them, and to help draw that out and to build other leaders in your organization. You can go on to the next slide. And this is really important as you think about implementing change, because we want to have people that can help influence that change all throughout at different levels and different disciplines. Okay, you can go on to the next one. And I just want you to think for a minute about someone you believe who's a good leader and what character traits that person possesses. Okay. So think about that. What are the qualities that they have that you admire? You can go on to the next slide there. The Leadership Challenge book has been around a long time, and the authors have done research along with that and have posed this question across time. And the top ones that show up are there in bold. And maybe these were on your list as you thought about it. Honesty and trustworthiness, competence, a person who is inspiring, and forward-looking. Those were the top four things. And then you can see some of the others as well. But as you look at this list, I kind of want to draw you to the fact that all of the things on this list are behaviors or actions, things that we do. So you can go on to the next slide. So the important piece of this is behavior is a choice, and it can be learned. We can improve in these areas. So when we're in person together, I always ask people when I'm doing leadership to look to their right and to their left and say, hey, there's hope for you yet. We can all learn to become better leaders. And some of the things on the list you'll find in yourself that they come to you naturally. They aren't as hard or forced. But some of the things on the list aren't as strong for you, and you may have to intentionally work harder on those things and build in time for yourself to concentrate on those areas. Like, for example, one for me is holding people accountable. That one's harder for me. And so I have to really intentionally think about the strategies that I plan to use in those cases, and the good listener part. Sometimes I'm a really good listener, but sometimes I'm not. And that one I have to be a little bit more aware of than others. So you can grow in these areas, and you can teach others this and help them be aware of the traits that they possess that are natural and that take a little bit more work, and discover these things in themselves. So you can go on to that last slide there. So as I wrap up and we get into the more interactive part, I just want to reiterate that high engagement at all levels helps us get to the success we want. And whether it's a goal in person-centered care or something else, it has an impact on any of that. But engagement must be intentional. And I gave you some tools and tactics today that I hope help you with that intentionality. So use the tools to start engaging your teams. And I can't wait to see what happens in your organizations. Thank you, Carmen, for the opportunity to talk to this group.
Laci, this is awesome. So everyone, here's your chance. I'm going to start with a question, and I've got a couple if nobody else does, but this is for you, Wyoming. So please think of a question. You can unmute yourself, raise your hand, or do it in the chat box, okay? And Laci, I'm so excited to ask you something I've never thought to ask you. So everyone, I mentioned that Laci got to work at Meadowlark Hills in Manhattan, Kansas, which was one of the first household model nursing homes. I do not believe there's any household models in Wyoming, so you may not be that familiar with them. They are sort of, you know, a little like the greenhouse model, but it typically is a remake of a nursing home. And then people live in a household where they have a full kitchen, food is made there. They have private rooms down a private corridor like you and I in our homes. And in fact, Lorraine Norton was our teacher 2 weeks ago. She was the consultant for Meadowlark Hills. So it's not surprising we're hearing some of the same things. And Laci got to work with another famous leader, Steve Shields is his name at that time. And Laci, I remember Steve always teaching at the culture change conferences that they poured money into giving team members skills, like life skills, the ones you've mentioned, right? Communication, problem solving, and conflict management. Because you heard Laci mention self-led teams. That's what happens in a household, is the silos of the institutional model go away. You're not just the nursing department. You know, you've got nursing, you have everything, every team represented in one household. And so you started to really act like a, you know, a more intra-disciplinary team, you know, serving the people who live there. So that always caught my attention, everyone, because I myself, like, no one ever taught me how to do conflict well. Anybody else? We don't get that usually in our homes. And in fact, it wasn't modeled well in my home, right? And then you don't get it in school. And so I've always admired the truth that probably those are skills we all could use and learn more. And so Laci, because I heard Steve always say we poured money into that, what's your angle? You were one of the team members that kind of experienced that. What did you see happening? Did they pour money into that kind of skill training?
Well, I would say yes. I would say not necessarily, you know, intentionally. What do I want to say? It wasn't all just about building life skills in that context. Some of it was actually poured into as a part of being effective work team members. You know, it wasn't separate. It flows into both. And it was always within that context that the skills you're using are to build you up as an employee, but also as a person. You know, this is something that carries forward wherever you are. And I think it's so critical. The piece that was that working, I worked in a neighborhood for dementia that had 2 households, and but we were open to one another. Okay. So when you think about the greenhouses, they're very separate, but prior to a remodel that happened after me, there were 30 elders living with dementia in 2 households, but the residents could go back and forth, So though the teams were separate, we worked an awful lot together because residents were, back and forth, and we knew everybody, and the staff kind of had to be a team. But that creates some interesting dynamics. And so the conflict resolution and teaching those skills of being a part of a team and taking the ideas that we have, the skill sets we have, and using them together to work towards an end goal, that just changed everything. And I remember even Meadowlark's in a college town, so there are some people who did CNA work for a living and some who were in school for various different things, many of them health professions that were planning to go on. And I remember specifically several college students who had gone through some of the conflict resolution and had been a part of leadership teams and a part of that decision making, who have come back later and said that they still use things from their time in that work, in their current work, and whatever it inspired them to do different things. And so I think pouring into people, that's elevates the value. So whether one of the things I've heard from people, I have to give you a little context. In a household environment, there's a smaller group of elders, and we eat in a smaller dining area together. And one of the values at Meadowlark was that staff members could have a free meal if they were eating with an elder. Whether that be just having conversation with them or helping them eat, that sort of thing. And I've heard so many people say, doesn't that cost a fortune? Why would you, do that sort of thing? And I would say, hands down, that was the single most relationship building piece of the household, because that's where conversation happened. It was deep conversation in some cases. So you really got to know people's personalities. And there's a connection there. And the other piece is many direct caregivers don't have a lot. Their socioeconomic status is lower in many cases. And so that good, hearty meal, it can be invaluable to them. And so I think that's another piece of it as well. There are a lot of things that pour into that, but that's one of those pieces of valuing the team and, building that community there.
Beautiful. I'd love to know, anyone listening, does your home offer food to team members? Or if, just curious, does anyone do that? My whole career, I've heard that to be very positive and not very expensive, everyone. Your kitchen is making food anyway, and there tends to be leftovers, is what I've kind of heard, and it just tends to work out. And it really is a culture change practice, everyone, for people who work there to sit and dine with people who live there. That's what normal people do in a normal home. And of course, there has to be good infection control. Like, that shouldn't even be an issue, to be honest. Of course, right? And it creates community, like Laci just said. I don't see any other questions, so I'm gonna
Hi, Carmen, it's Brittany.
Thank you, Brittany. I did not see you coming. Good, go for it.
You're just fine. So I was going to comment so one of the artifacts that we are tackling is having staff dine with our residents, which we will be starting in April. But we already feed staff. If you want to grab lunch in the dining room, you're welcome to. You do have to wait until after all the residents have been served. But we feed our staff, and we do the same thing with our ice cream shop. I serve popcorn ice cream and fresh baked cookies. And staff, families, and our residents are all welcome to eat anything they'd like out of my ice cream shop. Good. And it's actually super fun. a lot of our staff bring their kiddos in on the weekend and come and get ice cream and then go sit in the courtyard and eat when the weather's nice. It's one of my favorite parts.
Oh,
Mhm.
round of applause.
Yeah.
Woo!
Awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Brittany. I did not know all that. That is so good, everyone. You all could do that. This is what brings people together, everyone. This is normal. You know, to be honest, this is our opportunity to keep moving in just the direction of normal life and away from scheduled, contrived, institutional life. And hopefully you're getting ideas and ways to do that. What else? Everyone, since we have a few minutes, I'm going to let it go until the break because that's what the grant agreed to. One thing before I forget, Laci Cornelison is helping Wyoming think about pay for performance. You've sort of heard her mention that homes get an incentive payment for doing some of these ideas of changing institutional culture. And we've already had one meeting with her, Wyoming, and we're hoping to have more. And so if any of you are interested in that, you know, join us, let me know, etc. And Sabina says, I love this idea, especially staff bringing in their children. Of course, multi-generational children. Someone else, you guys have to tell me who you are, some residents from one of your homes. I love these ideas. I feel like our facility can make a few positive changes. Thanks for sharing. Beautiful. Thanks, everyone. Now, I have a challenge for everyone listening. Instead of leaving at the break, my challenge is for you to go find another team member to join you. How do you like that? Because we built in a 15-minute break and we'd rather you not leave. And would it be cool if more people joined than left? But any other questions or comments, anybody? Let's see. I think I might have another one. Why don't I just do an advertisement, everyone, so we can save a little time here. You know, you heard Laci bring up sleep, honoring sleep. That is one of the conference sessions for this conference. 2 weeks from today is March 29th, Tuesday, March 29th. And this time, the time will be different. So please note that on purpose, we are doing the conference at 5 p.m. Mountain Time in order to honor the team members who work night shifts because they are involved with sleep the most. And this was an idea from Julia Van Dyke from your survey agency to try to honor night shift team members. So if you could please pass that on. That topic is coming up. And then sorry to work backwards. Now, next Tuesday, the 22nd, is one of the founders of the Pioneer Network and the developer of the community meeting, which is famous and considered a culture change practice. His name is Barry Barkin. He'll be with us next Tuesday, the same 2 p.m. Mountain time. And we have a comment, Laci. Kelly White is saying, we have a companion plate with our elders who have issues with weight. This allows for our care partners to eat with them. And we have seen an increase in intake and less weight loss. Woo! Round of applause for Morningstar. Wow, Laci, what do you say to that?
Very cool.
A companion plate. I've never kind of heard it put that way, everyone. That's beautiful. We know that people eat better, right? When it's with.
That's that normalizing. And a lot of times, I mean, I just especially think of my grandma's generation. My dad's parents were older and she was from the Depression, and she's like, oh no, you have to eat too. She just was very conscientious of that. And so if somebody would have been sitting with her and not eating too, she would have thought that, what's going on? You gotta eat too.
Right.
You're gonna starve.
Right. Don't you all have the same story? Don't we all? Don't most older people, and how about any age person, invite you to sit down and eat with them? It's so normal. So here's permission, everyone, to keep moving in that direction of normal. It's so healthy for everybody. Now, of course, we have this good question. Are there COVID restrictions that would prohibit staff eating with residents? I do not keep up on all this, you guys. I just can't. I'm not involved day to day. So could someone react to that? Can staff dine with residents right now or not, as far as anyone knows? Or is it clear even? Perhaps it's a home decision, home by home. Kelly says they just changed the regs. Go ahead, Laci.
No, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah. Kelly just put in a chat box. They have just changed the regs. Kelly, can you unmute yourself? I'll double check to make sure on my end we can. Kelly, try to unmute yourself if you'd like.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, hi. So we just were looking at the regs, and they did just come out with you can dine. They're specific on vaccination and status, so I'd be sure to read those before you start implementing it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good. Kelly always knows the answer, guys. Thank you, Kelly. I mean that. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Good job, Kelly. And
Yeah.
I just reiterate too that there are going to be barriers that come up with these things. Like even in when I think back to when I worked at Meadowlark, which now is almost 15 years ago since I worked there specifically. But some of the practices that have carried through have evolved a little bit depending on different regulations or just changes in culture and environment and even workplace requirements for staff, infection control, things like that. But it doesn't mean that the intent or the overall outcome has to be different. It's we have to approach it different to make it happen in some cases. Now, when COVID was fully on and everything, I don't think there was anything that would have allowed us to actually have elders and staff eating together, but residents couldn't even eat with another resident really for a while. So it kind of evolves, but I would say just don't let some of those nuances stop you from trying to figure out how to get to that end goal or adapting and changing.
Absolutely. You know what, everyone? We tend to just jump to, oh, we can't, in this business. And I agree with Laci. Try not to do that. Challenge each other, be creative, figure out ways, because we know these things are so good, Okay, I think it's time for a break. Thank you, Laci. Everyone,
Yeah.
please come back and bring a friend. And we'll be back in 14 minutes, it looks like, okay?
Thank you for your grace with my
Yeah.
computer.
Of
Sorry
course.
about that.
It's okay. Thank you, Laci. We'll see you in a
Have
few.
a great day. Bye.
Yeah. Well, Laci,
Yes.
you're not leaving, are you?
Oh, okay.
We have
You're
another 45 minutes, right?
Oh, okay. I missed
Right.
that, but that's okay.
Okay. Yes. Well, you and I talk offline.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We're good.
All right. We'll be back in a flash, everyone. See you in about 13 minutes now. Let's see. And I got to keep that open. So 2 minutes, everybody.
Hi, Sunshine.
Brittany, you make people smile, don't you?
Sometimes.
Hi, Sunshine. Hi, Sunshine to everybody. Okay, everybody, we have an exciting proposition. Woo! For these diehard culture change fanatics like us, Laci, who stuck around, okay? You guys are going to be invited to join us right now in a learning circle. We're going to try a learning circle over Zoom. So number one, would you all be willing to show yourself, even though nobody likes to? Come on, I don't like to either. Do you like to, Laci? Brittany, do you like to? Nobody likes
I
to.
don't
Let's just
love
face
it, but
Come on. Dawn Marie is brave. Hi, Dawn Marie. You go by both, right? Dawn Marie, do you say both? Dawn Marie, can you hear me?
Oh, Max. Dawn Marie
Oh,
is,
Max. Sorry, Max.
Dawn
Okay,
Marie,
guys.
I think is on here somewhere,
Oh,
but
good.
I'm Max, and I don't know
Okay.
how to
Oh,
change.
poor Max, everyone. When you see Dawn Marie, it's really Max.
And I don't think I can change it either.
I know, I think
I
we
can
tried.
help you when
Oh,
Dawn
good.
or Max, when I come up there, I'll help you change it.
Okay, deal.
Okay.
I think I know
now-
how.
All right. So Patty Hall, can you show yourself?
No.
Patty. Okay, Kelly White, can you show yourself?
I don't have access to a camera
Okay.
today.
Okay, dear. Theresa Bartlett, are you there? Theresa? Is someone at Theresa Bartlett's name that's not Theresa, maybe? And how about Christina Anderson? Can you unmute yourself? And then I have a Kara, maybe? Kyra?
Hi,
Hi, who's that?
Christina.
Hi, Christina. Thank you, dear. Can you show yourself or not so much?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. And then Joanne, are you there? Joanne. And who is with the AHCC residents? Does anyone know what that stands for? I don't. AHCC. Got to be Care Center. Can someone guess?
It
Wyoming?
might be Amy Holt Care Center.
I bet it
Okay.
is.
Okay. Amy Holt Care Center, are you there? This is going to be fun. So Kelly, please stay unmuted. Patty. Maggie, are you there? Kara, are you there? Theresa Bartlett. AHCC residents. And Joanne, are you there? Huh, oh boy. So now,
Kelly's square lights up green like she's trying to talk, but I
Okay.
don't hear
okay.
anything.
Hi,
from her.
Joanne. We got Joanne in the chat box. We don't have a mic. That is completely fine, Joanne. We're going to still include you in the learning circle, okay? So I guess we'll go with who we know is here, okay, guys? And then we'll check in with the others again, okay? Here's the deal. Laci, you want to pose learning
Yeah.
circle topic? Cool.
Yeah. So for the last 45 minutes, we talked about different strategies for engagement and empowerment. One of them being the learning circle, which we're going to try virtually, but also the work groups, the meeting roles, and even conflict resolution is a piece of that as well. So as you think about the content, the topic we're posing is two parts. And one is, as you think about those strategies and doing those things in your own organization, what worries you about it and what excites you? So those two things. So as with the rules of the learning circle, we just like to ask for a volunteer to start first. And then after that, Carmen's just going to call people out, just to keep it simple on with the technology, to share as well. And we'll start with that. Okay.
I'll volunteer. Oh, there we go.
Look at him go. We'll go. I'll go. Okay, Max. So who was first, Patty or
You
Max?
want to go, Patty? I think Patty beat me.
Okay, I think you're right, Patty. You go.
I'll be brief. I don't have a facility. I'm just the state ombudsman, but I have worked in nursing homes and assisted livings for over 30 years as a LPN or LVN in California and also in an assisted living here. And what I find what I see is might be the biggest resistance to this change and the culture change is people don't like change. And so it's getting those people, first and foremost, the department heads to embrace it and not to complain about it, but to embrace it and say, this is going to be good, and not just talk about it, but live it and do it. You know, you can shake your finger at people all the time and say, do this and do that. But if they don't see you doing it, they're going to ask themselves why. And if that department head or the administrator even is complaining about it, all that's going to do is incite complaining too. So I think that's going to be the hardest thing. I think it's going to be very exciting. I've seen a huge evolution of change in nursing homes over the last 30 years. And I'm excited to see this new change and can't wait for people to embrace it. And I kind of hope I'm around for 30 more, but kind of don't. I mean, but I'm excited. And I'm hoping that the nursing homes that are represented here today are going to show an example to Wyoming. So now we can let Max go.
Yeah.
I was just going to do it so you wouldn't call on me. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is that, you know, I would like to start with the good side. Like, it's exciting to think that this, you know, learning circles could really be a way to bring people together and improve communication with everybody that's involved. But then there's also that scary side to it where you don't want to talk about things sometimes because you don't want to be causing troubles or, you know, make rifts. So I like the idea that everybody gets a chance to speak, and then we can go around from there and work through our issues. And I think it's a really good thing. I just think at first it would be very intimidating for anybody, really.
Who would like to go next? Brittany?
Sure. So I'm super excited to start using learning circles in our community, both with our residents and with our staff. But kind of like what she was just saying, some of it is very intimidating. I've been pushing culture change in my community since I've been working with Carmen since October, and I'm a manager in our building. I'm a team leader, but I am not upper management. I am not the DON. I'm not the ED. I'm not the DOR. And so having the chonies, having the confidence to be able to stand in the room and say, okay, this is what needs to happen. Y'all have been trained how to do this with all of the schooling and the education that you've had. I don't have that. And being able to stand in front of them and say, okay, this is what needs to happen. These are the things we want to implement is hard for me sometimes.
Notice we're not talking in between everyone. We're holding our tongues. It's hard, isn't
Nope.
it? And what she meant by calling out, you know, is how about Joanne? And hang on, the what is it called again? AHCC?
Yep.
I
And
don't
both
think they have a microphone.
Right.
Yeah,
So you
they
guys,
don't
right. So why don't you guys do in the chat box? There's 3 of you. So we'll have them go in the chat box and I'll read it in a moment. So then I believe Kelly, could you share, please?
So it's exciting to start back into the learning circles again. We've done them before in the past here, and they do make a good camaraderie of your team. But what I've seen, because we've started adding those, trying to implement new policies, inviting the staff and to do it, it's like a fear. They don't want to have an input. So I think getting back to that level of comfort where everybody has a say and then they feel like they're part of the goal going forward.
Nice. Thank you, Kelly. Let's see, who else could speak out loud and we would hear you? Theresa, are you there? For Christina, I think you could, right?
This is Theresa. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Theresa, thank you. Where do you
Hi.
hail from?
So I'm Theresa Bartlett from Johnson County Healthcare Center, and I'm associated with Amy Holt Care Center, AHCC. I'm the Director of Dietary and Environmental Services. So I oversee 30 employees, and I'm excited for the changes, and I'm looking forward to creating that new culture. My concerns or ideas that I'm wanting to express is, so right now I'm going through some staffing difficulties of getting people hired, and so that's adding stress on the departments. And a lot of my staff do cross-train and are CNAs and work at the nursing home, and so I don't want to create burnout either on either side. So those are my concerns.
Thank you. All right, Christina, I think maybe you could speak on your mic. Is that right, Christina? I'm going to make sure that I press the button on my side. Hi, Christina.
Okay,
Hi.
yeah.
Sorry, I think it was on.
No,
me.
that's
Thank
okay.
you. Where do you hail from, Christina?
From Wyoming Retirement Center.
Oh, yes. Hello.
So, and Marla's here in the other room, and so I was asking her also if there was anything that worries or excites her. Oh, here she is right here. So, and we can't really think of any specific thing. I just really hope that our staff will engage, because it just seems like they're just running constantly, and like to take the time. Sometimes it just seems like that they don't have the time to take, and so we really struggle with getting their input. But I mean, it would be awesome if we can take this and run with it. Marla, any thoughts?
I agree with you.
So, I mean, they say, oh, well, communication sucks, we don't listen to them, but they don't want to actually take the time to even tell us how, to be a part of the conversation, even how we can change. But the stuff that we've started doing with culture change has been amazing so far, the snack attack and all that. I mean, I think people are getting excited though. So
Can you say more, Christina, for everyone listening, what a snack attack is?
We have implemented these little snack bars on both sides of the facility where residents can get snacks 24 hours a day. I mean, yes, we still do our regular snacks too, but these ones, they can just go straight there. They can get whatever they want to drink or whatever, to eat snack wise. So just so that they can just empower them to just get it anytime they want. They don't even have to ask a staff member to assist them. They can get it. So, and I think that's pretty exciting. We've also started opening our gym more and rotating different staff member who aren't normally in the gym are helping with that. And it's just definitely helping us to get out there on the floor and be with the residents more. It's awesome.
Mhm. That is
So,
awesome.
yeah, but the learning circles, I really hope that we can get more staff involvement just on the floor, the frontline staff. So we do have residents in our culture change thing that are helping us with us, on the calls normally, but we don't have the frontline staff at this time. So we really need to work on them.
Forgive me, everyone. I don't mean to keep, a true learning circle. No one would talk, next would go. Okay. So thank you, Christina. But since we don't all know each other, I thought once in a while you got to know more what she's speaking about. And isn't that exciting? Okay. I think I'll read the comments, and then Maggie, are you able to talk? Maggie, can you unmute Kara? Oh, Kara, you should be over here. Kara, can you share your thoughts in the chat box? Here we go, guys. Joanne's group says, we are excited for some new changes also, but changes are always hard for some. Yep. Kelly also said, oh, great. Kelly has another person. Thank you, Kelly. We would love that. Has someone else with her? Go ahead.
Introduce yourself. This is Valerie Hughes. I am a registered nurse. I am about to move into my 40th year of being a full-time registered nurse.
Woohoo!
And I just entered the specialty of long-term care in February, March of 2020. So my whole career in long-term care has been with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Just the past year, I was recruited to try infection prevention, which I have been blessed to step into administration for the first time in my career. My background was oncology for 29 years, being a certified oncology nurse and a chemotherapy infusion nurse. So this has been an eye-opener for me, and Kelly is probably one of the I've learned the most from as far as a long-term care facility, and also being a part of a philosophy called Eden, which I had never heard of. And she is the biggest advocate for that philosophy, as well as a huge advocate for every single elder in this facility. And it is just wonderful for me to watch her in her role and be in her office, because we share an office. You know, sometimes that's hard, but there's a blessing that comes with sharing the office, because I get to listen sometimes on the side to these things that she listens to. And the sweet natural educator, what's her name? What was the? Laci, I don't know you. And I said, Kelly, she is really awesome. She needs to continue doing what she's doing, because you're very effective, Laci, wherever you are. Okay. So thank you for doing this, all of you. And I'm here with.
Wow, Valerie is one of our new favorite people, huh, everybody? Woo! Thank you, Valerie. Wow. All right.
Don't say that loud.
Oh, come on. Let's see. I gotta see if we can finish the circle. Hang on, Christina. Can you did, sorry. Maggie, can you share? Maggie, are you there? Maggie, can you unmute? And Kara,
Hi,
can
this
you?
is Maggie.
Oh,
I
great.
just would like to say hi to everyone, and it's very refreshing, you know, as we recover, I don't know what the right word is, as we continue with and during and around. It's just wonderful to have all these other focus areas with which to continue to care for our people in our neighborhoods and our community.
Where do you
I
hail
really
from?
appreciate the learning and the sharing. It's refreshing, and it lightens my heart a bit. So thank you.
Maggie, where do you hail from? Where do you work? Who do you represent? The mysterious Maggie, everyone. Okay. And I feel like I'm missing someone. Kara, you were someone that could maybe share in the chat. And AHCC, I just don't know this name. The Ann,
Yes.
what? Someone tell me again.
AHCC, there was somebody who represented them that already spoke, and then they said they also didn't have a microphone on that one.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So if you guys want to share a chat box comment, we'd love it. Otherwise, I think we heard from everyone. So now everyone, I don't know, Laci, do you want to go, or you and me?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how to respond to this because I'm not in a home, but so I'm just going to comment on what people have said so far, and I just want to say that I thank you for sharing with a group. This can be really intimidating, as you mentioned. I also want to encourage you to start small. Don't think about having to start really big, but start small. And I'm really excited to see what Wyoming can do because I know states that have a small group of people can do very mighty things. So I'm excited.
Woohoo. Me too. So usually at this time, guys, because I have so much to share, I skipped the learning circle part so that we can begin the discussion part. So now that you've all heard what a learning circle is like, who wants to jump in and tap into something, anything that someone else just said? Feel free to jump in. And I'm making sure you can all unmute again.
I might jump in. I wrote a few notes and I there was something that was brought up about department heads and leaders really needing to embrace this in order for it to work.
Yes.
And I just want to say that I think that that's a very true statement. And it's actually one of the gaps that if a home tries to do a change like this, and doesn't have support from, say, ownership or corporate leadership or, a leader in the building, it can be really difficult. And I would say that that's definitely true. One of the things that I have seen in Kansas to be helpful with that, and we may be starting to be in a place where this could happen again, is to visit or to talk to homes that are further along in the culture change journey so that leader to leader, that person could talk to them and maybe even see it in person if it's possible. And sometimes that can help draw people into it because you can see more, okay, I can see how that might be possible. In one home in Kansas, the board didn't know much about it, and the team had gone and seen it at a home called Pleasant View in Kansas, and the home was like, let's just bring the board to see it. And so the board traveled and went to visit the home, and that was a turning point for the leadership there. So something to think about.
Okay, let's jump on that, everyone. I would like everyone's help right now to think about homes in your state that are kind of famous for being further along the journey for culture change. Who comes to mind, everybody? I won't say what I think. What do you all know?
St. John's and Jackson.
Yes, I agree, Kelly. St. John's in Jackson. Anyone else? It's actually called Sage Living now, by the way. Sage Living.
Fair.
Kelly, what did you say?
Yeah, I forgot they changed their name.
That's all right. Yep. Just Brittany, just, totally out of the blue. Who do you know of in Wyoming that's doing culture change, if anybody?
Well, when you said it, the first place to come to mind was Agape in Buffalo, because they were the first place I know of that did the greenhouses, the pods.
Okay. Now, do we have greenhouses in Buffalo, everybody, or not? Do you maybe mean greenhouses in Sheridan?
No, they're in Buffalo. It's
Yeah. We have to grow plants? No.
Does anyone know about that? I haven't heard of that. Is it a nursing home, Brittany?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe they're more assisted living than skilled care.
Okay.
But they are set up
like a
set
household.
up with the pod system. Yep, with the household.
Okay.
And Beehive in Buffalo used to be that way as well.
Okay.
It was set up like a home.
Okay.
I think they had 14
Okay.
assisted living style residents.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they have now,
Sure.
but Dawn just said Morningstar, and I would agree with that as well.
Oh yeah, we were getting there. Thanks, Kelly and Valerie. How about Morningstar? Absolutely.
Really.
Good. And then you do have greenhouses in Sheridan, everyone, and you
Yes.
also have new ones being built in Lander, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
one being built in Lander.
Jeez.
And in Buffalo,
Oh, yes.
Yes,
The-
Buffalo and Lander.
What's the one
the
called in
Buffalo Vets
Buffalo?
Home.
Vets? Oh, okay.
That's
The veg-
the Veterans Home of Wyoming.
Yep. Okay.
They have 3 new houses.
Okay. All right. So Brittany, this is really for you. If you want to get a bus load of colleagues to go see Culture Change and have a field trip, I know it may sound daunting, but the truth is it will be so worth the time. Because now when DON can go talk to a DON, a dietitian can go talk to the dietitian. And you know
Okay.
darn well, St. John's Living, now Stage Living, would be happy to do it, right? Kelly,
yeah.
would your team be happy to do it?
We would be happy to do it. And just speaking from experience, going to other culture change homes, it is eye-opening, and it rejuvenates you and makes you want to come home and change things.
Yep.
I'm about
So
it.
now Brittany, who's closest to Casper of some of these?
Buffalo is probably the closest, and actually my mom works there.
There we go.
So I've got to see those houses go up, and once they're built, I am definitely going up to see them and see how they do. Super interested in those, but I'll probably be giving Kelly a call to see
Please do.
if we
Yep.
could come up. Getting my whole team to go to Jackson, although appealing,
Yes.
would probably be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Who wanted to add to that? Anybody? Okay. So then everybody, including Brittany, to answer the same question. Going firsthand is best. However, the next best thing, in my opinion, is showing videos or, stuff like this, right? I think of what Laci has said today with another word, and that is exposure. You want people to be exposed to hearing other dietitians teach, like we had Suzanne Queering last week, right, everyone? Wasn't that awesome? And then a lot of dietitian folks were listening, so you get the idea there. I think of it like, if you want to be a culture change advocate, get every video that's out there and get it in front of your team. There's not that many, buy them all, and you will not break the bank because there's not that many. And find all the free stuff online, and maybe take a moment, take 5 minutes of the monthly some sort of meeting where you get to expose people to more, and then things click along faster because of it.
Also, as far as leadership, and especially if you have any kind of corporate folks, sometimes the business case is on people's mind more. What's the bottom line, and Peak does have some resources on that as well, related to turnover costs, census, clinical outcomes, resident satisfaction, that are tied to Peak, because there's there's a way to evaluate the differences through the program. And so if that's something that speaks to people, we have some resources around that as well. And you can email me, you have it now, and I can point you directly to those resources.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So guys, go get the real deal from Peak website. And then it's okay, like Brittany, even though you don't know all the details, I think it's okay to say, just think common sense. Don't most people want to live in a home that's less institutional? We know this. We all know it. You don't need to prove it. And then don't most people want to work in a context that is less institutional? Yes, right? And then if people want to live there, then that's when a nursing home makes money, when it's full, right? And when people want to work there, we have less turnover and we save money. It's it's so simple, really. So it may just be like you're saying, Brittany, to be a brave soul who brings it up. That's kind of part of it, right? And then if someone says, show me, you're like, okay. And then you go find what Laci's talking about, right? And show them. But it's also common sense. I'm sort of tired of showing people, to be honest, you guys, because we know this to be true. And then, regs probably come up a lot too, everyone. And, that's what I've ended up dedicating my life to. I didn't plan to, but there are so many regs. You guys have been with me in a lot of the special sessions. You see some of the same regs plus more. There are so many powerful regs to do what we're talking about. And it's so weird to me that people don't realize it. So, make copies of handouts. Remember how Suzanne Queering said, flood people with best practice? Wasn't that a neat way to think of it? So you all do some flooding, okay? Ombudsman, I know you're very interested in flooding people with information and best practice. And then Christina at Wyoming Retirement, this idea that people always say communication sucks, okay? We know that. And we're not great at it. Let's just be honest. It's hard to do in a large group, right? With 3 different shifts, right? People coming and going, right? And then when people say they don't have time, Christina, I guess what I might recommend is you do it anyway. And you say, no, we're going to take 5 minutes or less. Follow me. Okay. And you force it to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's your only choice. Would you all agree?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know what else you can do. And then see, people will start to appreciate it. Let's be honest. This is another common sense thing. If your team is told this change is coming, they appreciate it, right? If they are told someone has quit their job, they appreciate it, right? If they're told so-and-so, the resident is on hospice, she's dying, they appreciate it, right? We know this. It's sort of simple in a way. So don't take no for an answer is my thought, because we know it's necessary. It's sort of like for our health, right? We got to know information. It works against us if we don't.
One thing I might say to speak into Christina's point about burnout and just having the time to do it and that sort of thing is, there's a couple of things that I might speak into is one, when we're working in a traditional environment, the pace is different. And so to stop that, we've got to have a change in our culture to change that environment. But that's what we're living in. And so we have to meet people where they're at. And one of the things, no matter what your culture is like in long-term care, it's always busy. And direct caregivers are, they are carrying a lot. They're dealing with the things that are in your face right now. Residents need me, that sort of thing. And so if you have a particular topic or something you really want input in, I think as leaders, you could be strategic with this and actually take on the responsibilities for the CNAs for a period of time. So many of your leaders may also have a CNA license, or they can help with some tasks, even if it's not direct care, for a period of time. So have your leaders actually take the pagers, take the call lights, take the needs of the residents for a 45-minute meeting, and then have somebody lead that discussion and get the input. And then the leaders will hear some of the input that came out of that. But I think that goes a long ways for your direct caregivers too, to see that that leaders would jump in to give them that time in this space to have the meeting and get the input.
Well said, Laci. Notice how it's like a gift. It's saying, this is so important, everyone, we're going to do it. You go talk, because we know how important it is.
Yeah, and that's very different than just saying, I expect you to be at this meeting at this time, you figure out how to do it. It's giving them the resources to be able to do it.
True.
Yeah.
True. Christina, does your team already do that at all? Where people, I'm trying not to say cover the floor, guys. Notice Laci did not say that either. Think about the language. That's pretty institutional. What we really mean is to be with residents, right?
Yes, we have offered to
Yeah.
do that for
Mhm.
them. And that's what we do end up having to do. I mean, like
Yeah.
we were trying to even just get the CNAs into the care conferences, and that has been such a struggle. So
Right.
they've been trying to work around that. But yeah, we
Mhm.
just really need their involvement, and it's hard when they're stretched so thin already. So
Right. Well, Christina, what I might recommend, just because I'm working with you guys, let's
Mhm.
let go of CNAs coming to care conference physically, because it's just not the moment in time. What sounds more important is you guys as leaders give up all the to-do lists you have for, okay, Laci said 45 minutes. You could even start with 10, right?
right.
And you don't ask permission, you don't offer it, you just say, hey, we're going to make this happen today because it's that important. I personally would vote for that. I feel that wider communications probably trumps getting CNAs to care conference at this moment. Do you feel that that kind of makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good job. Just do it, guys. Just do it. You'll be so glad you did, right? And I'm
Yes.
glad you were honest with us. And then the other thing, everyone, if you can't get CNAs literally physically to the care conference, aren't you also getting their input before the care conference, I believe? Is that true? Someone's
Yes.
doing that? Yeah. So see, that's the next best thing for now. Very good. Okay. Now, Joanne's sharing, our team leaders take the pagers so CNAs can go to meetings. Yep. Very good. Now, let's just keep talking, you guys. If you let's just help each other. Who else wants to talk about anything? What do you want help with? Brainstorming with? Encouragement with?
While you guys are thinking, I wanted to mention something about the intimidating part. One of the things, if you haven't done many learning circles, one of the things I would suggest is not starting with something that is an intense subject to start with. Start with something that's pretty benign just to get people talking. And don't feel the pressure to start out with a less intimidating topic and then drop the bomb. Just start by getting people to talk, even if it's pretty benign, and really listening and showing that, that it's can be comfortable to speak and that sort of thing, and then building up to some of those harder topics to address.
Can I add one thing
Oh, yeah.
for
Kelly. Yep. Go ahead.
the learning circles? When we first started doing it, it was hard for people to wait their turn and not overtalk. So we did a little stuffed llama and we passed it around, and that seemed to really minimize the side talking and allow the person to talk. And then eventually we got rid of the llama and we could just have the learning circle without it.
Nice. Thank you, Kelly.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. You guys,
My
did you hear
plan is to
Lorraine?
use the pickle.
That's a pickle. Cool. Good. It's big, Brittany. That's good. So guess what? We've all heard this now several times. Let's see. Lorraine Norton mentioned the talking stick. That keeps coming up, guys, only because it's a real thing apparently in like Native American cultures, the talking stick. And then I feel like, think about the microphone. Isn't it literally like a talking stick? You could actually use a microphone if people can't hear. And then Suzanne Queering brought up, okay, someone help me. It's from a movie. I'm not that good at movies. In a movie, they use a big conch shell. It wouldn't be Lord of the Rings, would it? Or something. Oh, Fly, the Fly movie. Is there a Lord of the Flies or something? Somebody help me. It's from a movie, the conch shell. I don't know either, but you get the picture here. So thank you, Kelly. Notice then you didn't need it after a while, but a visual probably does help, because notice we're all used to just talking when we want to, and it's hard to tame it. So thank you, Kelly. That's a really good point. And to Laci's point, everyone, you could just start with getting to know you questions. Let it be fun and light. You guys, we work together, but I don't know when you were born or where you know, when your birthday is or your favorite this or that. And just, that's a beautiful way to get used to the circle. And now you can build up to handle problem solving, right? So good.
I would also be sensitive to some people really have a legitimate social anxiety. And I'm particularly sensitive to it because my daughter does. And she just, it doesn't matter how safe she feels in a group, she has a hard time speaking up in the group. And so be sensitive to folks like that and don't push too hard. They'll speak when they're ready, you know, and some of this kind of building up to it, let them pass, you know, their heart rate's going up, they're sweating, they can't hardly think straight, you know, just let those folks have their space. And it doesn't have anything to do with you or not wanting to. It's legitimately a barrier for them.
Well, again, well said, Laci. Kelly, have you seen that too in all your learning circles?
Yeah, there's people that definitely don't want to be involved. And so we just meet them where they're at, just like we should be doing our elders.
Yeah, that's right. So in case you missed it, everyone, a person can pass. And then at the end, you would say, hey, Carmen, did you think of anything to say? Did you want to add anything? If not, it's okay. You do double check because a lot, you know, we've all been there, right? Where I didn't think of what I thought, I didn't think of what I wanted to say yet. But you know what you could do? It's kind of a pun, everyone. You could make it a thing where if anyone passes, we don't pass any judgment. It's okay. That could be kind of fun. It's totally okay. And no one's going to judge you for not sharing, you know? That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I think that as a leader, some of the things you could do to really engage those folks is connect with them afterwards, whether it be, you know, not necessarily hunting them down right after the meeting, but just, you know, I know that you didn't speak in this circle. Did anything come to your mind afterwards? Just one-on-one, you know, with that person, or texting them or emailing them and just saying, I know you didn't share in the circle. Did you think of anything, you know?
Yep. And remember from Lorene Norton, everyone, she said no table. She was very, very adamant about this because we see each other's body language. We can see each other's face. We tend to be able to hear better when we see each other's mouth. You know, you can kind of read more into someone if they're excited or not, or scared. Oh, it was so cool. Wasn't it cool to hear Lorene Norton talk, you guys? She's the founder. She's not the founder. No, she didn't invent them, but she brought them from organizational development to this movement. And I was just mesmerized to watch her discuss, like, you know, it allows you to see the nuances in people's body language. And oh, I just love it. How she really feels like it's a beautiful thing. Isn't that neat?
I've seen
something that was
go for it, please.
Sorry, I was just going to say something that happened last week. We did a couple of the different conferences with different teams of our staff, and afterwards it opened up the floor for like an impromptu learning circle, and that was a lot of fun.
Good. Glad to hear it. Go ahead, Laci.
I was just going to say that I've seen the learning circle used with elders with dementia. And, you know, you may have seen Megan Hanna do this as well, but I worked with all elders with dementia, and we had a hard time with behaviors in the evening. And so we started doing learning circles in the evening in a dementia unit, right? With elders with dementia. Wonderful. And I stayed and helped model this for several times, but it was amazing. And it just was huge, and it brought a voice to elders that never spoke, and it was just the most interesting thing. We didn't have many rules, we just had a topic like your favorite vacation, what was your career and favorite part of it, that sort of thing. And because we were a small household, some of the staff members knew elders' stories, and I think that's a little bit important when you're working with dementia, to kind of help prompt or to share something with the elder. Like, Richard, I know you owned a lighting store. Tell me about that. And he would get really proud. I did. And he'd say something about that. And it just brought a personality to people and an autonomy to people that was pretty amazing. And it did reduce behaviors, incidentally.
We're in yellow.
I think Carmen froze.
Did she? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're down to the last couple of minutes. I do see she froze there. We're down to the last couple of minutes. So is there anything else that anybody wants to add before we wrap up here? Well, it was just sure a pleasure to get to know you all, and we got to practice the learning circle. If you haven't done it before, I encourage you to set that as a goal for the next couple of weeks or month, is to have one, even if it's just 5 people, to try it out. And get the courage to try it and then go a little bigger down the road. So it was a pleasure joining you today. And I don't know if there's any housekeeping things. Does anybody know the usual thing?
Tomorrow is, oh, I don't know where it is. Hold on. My calendar is here somewhere.
Okay.
It's for tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow is the special session is with therapies, or is for therapies at 2
Mountain
just
time.
like normal mountain time.
Okay.
And Carmen will have already sent us all that link to share with whoever and for our residents and their families.
Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Carmen will be reaching out by email to you. So because she dropped off, but I just want to thank you for letting me be a part of this, and I wish you all well. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Laci.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lacey.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Laci.